Hi everyone, Ryan here from Fight Game Analysis, and today we are going to be talking about the upcoming fight between Francis Ngannou and Ciryl Gane. But before we jump into that, if you enjoy the content, please go ahead and click on the like button and also subscribe to the channel. Really appreciate your support. Alright, first pay-per-view event of the new year, UFC 270. And man, this main event is going to be a banger. Heavyweight title on the line, Francis Ngannou versus Ciryl Gane. This should be a good one. This is one that we've all been waiting for. We've been waiting to see Francis get in there and defend his belt for the first time. And we've been waiting to see Ciryl Gane get in there against the absolute tippy-top best of the world, because this dude is something else for the heavyweight division. All right, let's start out, talk a little bit about the champ. Now, Francis Ngannou is the type of guy that when you think about a heavyweight champion, when you picture one and just draw him up in your mind, Ngannou's the type of guy that you're drawing up. A guy that looks like an absolute monster and then comes out there and just tears people apart. Okay? We all saw when he almost decapitated Alistair Overeem. We saw when he caught Rozenstruik, a feared puncher in his own right, with that left hook and knocked him cold. We saw what he did to Curtis Blades. We were all there when he took the belt from Stipe Miocic with a left hook that just appeared to come out of nowhere and just caught him and dropped him at that awkward angle like he almost broke his leg or something, right? I mean, ferocious punching power. And he continues to get better in his delivery system. That's one of the things that I like about Ngannou. You can tell he's a striker through and through, okay? It's all about that power. It's all about that punching. But as much as we look at it and we think he relies on that power, as much as we look at it and we think, well, if it wasn't for that power, what would we be able to do? He came to the game late, and we're still seeing him progress. The way he delivers those shots is still getting better. You look at what he did 4 or 5 fights ago, it's not the same thing that he's doing now. Okay? He's always had some flaws in the way in which he threw his punches. Gets overextended. Gets off balance by getting over that front leg. Okay, we saw, I think, the most clear-cut example of the way he keeps his chin up in the air when he strikes is when he made that blitz against Rozenstruik. Like, he's just out there. That chin's up. It's in the air. It's open. It's a big flaw. It's a huge thing. You walk into a gym, they teach you not to do that since day one. Okay, you think, well, if that's what they teach you since day one, then how did Ngannou get to this point still doing it? It's because he's got the absolute otherworldly power. Dudes see the flaws, but they're scared to try to go in there and exploit them, because if they make one mistake, they're going to get their head torn off. If you're off just a little bit when he's trying to throw that heat at you and you just misjudge the angle a little bit, miscalculate something, that's it. Lights out. The fight's over. So guys end up playing it completely different than they would against the guy who had less power. And when I think of Francis Ngannou, I think of 3 things. Right? One, I already mentioned, it's the power. I mean, how can that not be the first thing that you think of when you think about this guy? Number 2, I think about that first fight with Stipe. And it's because he went in there and got absolutely dominated in the wrestling department. Right? I don't think that's a stretch of the imagination to say that he was outclassed. He was in there against a guy who was at a completely different level when it came to wrestling. He was able to impose that wrestling game plan on him, and Ngannou was done. Number 3 is the second fight with Stipe. And it's really for 2 reasons. Number 1, kind of already spoke about it a little bit, is the way in which his delivery system became better. His punches were tighter. He didn't overextend as much. Went to the body. Showed a little bit better combination punching. Didn't keep his chin up in the air quite as much. I felt that he was more patient with his striking and didn't try to rush things. All in all, just much better in that regard. You can see once he changed gyms, he's out there. He's out with Dewey Cooper. He's out there with Eric Nixick. He's getting better. He's progressing. And another way in which he progressed that second fight with Stipe, the wrestling defense. Dude, we saw him actually pop those hip backs. We saw him push the head down. He spun around to the back, started landing shots. Like, ooh, like that, seen as what happened in the first fight with Stipe and the improvements that he made to get to that position, shows that he's been spending a lot of time in the gym working on it. Right? Those are all great things. Now, he's still not perfect. Right? The Predator still has some flaws. For one, we don't know about that cardio. We basically see him getting guys out of there early all the time. We've only seen him go 5 rounds. One time that was against Stipe when he got dominated. What would happen 3rd, 4th, 5th round in a hard fight where he's getting pressed? 3rd, 4th, 5th round in a fight that isn't quite going his way. or it's not happening at a pace or a distance that he wants. Usually when we see guys who are super explosive, super powerful, all built off that power and speed, they typically don't have good cardio. Francis has not given us the opportunity to disprove that theory. He may have great cardio, we just haven't seen it yet. We haven't seen him get tested late. We haven't seen him get pushed really hard, really long. We've only seen him in there and get dominated one time, and he didn't give up, but he looked gassed and confused, right? So it'll be interesting to see if this fight were to go long, how's that going to look? I want to see the striking defense, okay? We've seen him get hit with some leg kicks. We've seen him get hit with some shots. Stipe caught him with plenty of shots. We've seen that. Doesn't seem to really focus all that much on his defense. He's not out there showing us how good he is at parrying jabs or using this great head movement in the pocket or anything like that. And again, he hasn't really been tested for the most part. He hasn't shown the need to bring these skills out. But if this fight requires that, does he have them? Does he have that tool in his tool bag and be able to bring it out? And then the other thing that I want to mention is some outside of the octagon stuff that I believe is going to play a factor in this fight. Number one, contract disputes with the UFC. He's been out here for a long time now, giving interviews on social media, all kinds of stuff, talking about, I'm not going to fight for $500,000. I'm not going to fight for $600,000. I'm a champ. I deserve more than this. Look, I'm not going to get into whether or not the UFC doesn't pay their athletes enough. Okay, that's a pretty big thing, and the numbers are kind of out there. We kind of all see what we see, right? I'm not even going to get into whether or not Francis Ngannou gets paid enough for his fights as the heavyweight champ, getting $500,000 and some pay-per-view points or something. Is that enough? Right? That's definitely a debate that we can have, one that needs to be had, because these athletes should be compensated accordingly. All I'm getting at is, right now for this fight for the heavyweight title on Saturday night against Ciryl Gane, is that going to be a distraction? Is it going to be a distraction that you're into it in the back and forth with your boss, with Dana White? I think it is. I think it's really tough to go in and give 100% day in and day out and stay focused and stay locked in at the absolute highest level that you need to when you're fighting guys like this, when you feel underappreciated, when you feel like you're not being compensated adequately for what you bring to the table. It's tough, man. It wears on you. I think it's going to affect him negatively. Number two, I think it's going to affect him negatively that he's in all this talk about fighting Tyson Fury. You know, I get it, man. That's a huge payday. Kind of goes to the first point. You feel like the UFC isn't giving you enough money. Feel like you're not getting your worth. So now all of a sudden you see boxers out there getting paid ridiculous amounts of money relative to what UFC fighters are getting paid. You're talking about fighting Tyson Fury. Okay, that's great. I understand. Maybe even just a cash out. Maybe you really think you can win. But dude, you got a beast standing across the octagon from you on Saturday night named Ciryl Gane, not Tyson Fury. Need to be locked in on that. And then the third thing is this back and forth that he's got with his own trainer, or the situation that he has with his old trainer, Fernand Lopez from the MMA Factory, right? Which just also happens to be where Ciryl Gane trains out of. Fernand Lopez is Ciryl Gane's head trainer now. He's into it with this guy back and forth. They got this thing from the past. He feels he wasn't treated correctly. He feels he was. He feels he needs to leave the United States to grow. There's a whole thing, okay? There's a whole thing, and there's a lot of ins and outs, and I get all that, man. Relationships, they get messy, and people are growing. They want to do one thing, a guy wants to do another. Okay, all of that is fine, but here's the thing. Is it going to affect Francis Ngannou on Saturday night? I absolutely believe it will. And the reason for that's simple. If this wasn't a big deal, if it was all just the media hyping it up, if it was just drama, if it was just trying to get clicks and build up a storyline before the fight, Francis wouldn't have reacted the way he did when he was walking past him in that hallway, when he saw Ciryl Gane and Fernand Lopez. He knew dude was standing there. They've had a relationship for how long? He doesn't even pay him any mind. Acts like he isn't there, looks the other way, keeps walking. What kind of a mindset does he have that that's the way that he feels he needs to act? That he needs to just completely put this dude on the back burner, act like he's not even standing there a few feet away from you, and just keep on walking. Don't acknowledge him, don't say hi, nothing. To me, that means that something's eating away at him. To me, that means that something's in his head. It's just not sitting easy with him. I think that's going to affect him when he goes into the octagon Saturday night. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to lose. Those aren't automatics that you're going to get beat. But I don't think they're going to help you get closer to a victory. I definitely think they're going to affect you negatively. Now, standing across from him, we've got Ciryl Gane. Ciryl Gane, man, this dude is something else, right? You typically don't see heavyweights like this guy. The way he moves, that footwork, the control of the distance in and out, the way he's smooth, he's fast. Comes from a professional Muay Thai background before making it to MMA. We can see he's a striker all day. He's got these ways of throwing kicks sometimes where he switches up the speed, throws them slow at first and speeds him up, throws them high, He's very, very experienced when it comes to the striking. Knows how to set guys up. I love the way that he fights at a kicking distance. We saw the way that he was tearing up Derek Lewis with the legs. Saw the way that he's kicking Rosenstrike. He's kicks to the inside, kicks to the outside. He's got body kicks. He's got high kicks. He can fight at that kicking distance, but he can also move inside. We saw when he got inside against Dos Santos, he's able to use head movement in quick and then also throw elbows. Like, he's so fast. He's got so much dexterity. He's got every strike available to him. He moves in ways that other heavyweights aren't used to seeing. The way he can back out, control distance, cut angles, use the lateral movement. I mean, look at what he did in this little sequence against Rosenstrike. Switches stances, throws a kick, comes in with a punch, dips under the counterattack, and then ends up chaining it into a takedown. Like, man, that's really impressive stuff. That's stuff that you typically can't find in sparring because you're fighting guys so big. So then you come into the octagon, you see it on fight night, and you're kind of confused. So I think that's going to be tough for anybody to deal with. All the hand speed that he has. Look at how fast this jab is here. The way he just pops this out completely unexpected. Those types of things are difficult to deal with. He's got a high enough fight IQ that he understands the counter and what Francis may come back with. This is going to be a phenomenal fight. Right, so all that being said, the question is, what's it going to look like when these two step in the octagon with each other on Saturday night? I think everything being said, I'm going with Ciryl Gane on this one. I think that between the versatility that he brings to the octagon, with the kicks and the control of distance, with the speed that he has, the way that he understands how to get inside, push a guy back, he can fight against the cage inside, use the elbows, use little head movements and avoid shots inside. The cardio that he's got, we've seen him go 5 rounds. The patience that he has, the speed. All in all, I think it's going to be too much for Ngannou. Man, Ngannou's going to fight hard for those first couple rounds. But really, he's kind of only got the one thing. He's got the power. He's got that big right hand. He's got that big left hook. If he hits you with it, man, it's over. We all know that. But if he doesn't, can he win a decision? If he gets in some bad spots, what if he gets his back pushed up against the cage and Gane's wearing on him? Does he have the cardio to withstand that? Does he have the technique? Can he get the wrist control and circle out? Does he know how to grab an underhook and avoid damage? Does he have good head work movement on the inside? All these things are questions, but they're not questions for Ciryl Gane. We know absolutely everything that Ciryl Gane brings to the table. He's been consistently getting better. And I'll tell you what, man, that last performance that he brought against Derek Lewis, highly impressive. Highly impressive. So I'm going to go with Ciryl Gane on this one. I think it's going to be new. You know, as a little side note, I think the interim belt is garbage. Never should have put that out. But that was all the politics about the negotiations that were going on with Ngannou. So I'm taking Ciryl Gane on this one. Think he's going to come out with a big victory. Really looking forward to this fight. Let me know what you guys think. Is Francis Ngannou going to come out and show us that devastating power once again? And we're going to sit here and just scratch our heads and wonder who's going to be able to take that man off the throne? Or is he not even going to get one title defense? Ciryl Gane and new, and we're going to be wondering who can handle a heavyweight that's able to move the way Ciryl Gane is. Let me know what you guys think.